How's it going, everybody? This is Barbigerous Baseball, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here for episode 5 of Team Evaluation Thursday. The last episode, apologies to the teams in this episode for how long it's taken me to complete the evaluations of them. I'm going to have a discussion video on my plans for this series in the future within the next week or so I can discuss more about that then. But let's open up this free daily pack, see what we pull. I'm not expecting a whole lot, but you never know. And it is a bronze Matt Carpenter. So today we have, I believe, 9 teams, ranging from 90 OVR all the way up to 102. So good mix of teams, a lot of higher OVR teams, and yeah, should be an interesting video. So let's hop into that. So our first team here today is TheRealoldhead, who is 90.9 OVR, and going for a Diamond Dodger set deck. So you're currently on Season 2 and you play 2 to 3 league games per day. I'm pretty sure that's probably changed since when you submitted the form. But my recommendation would just be playing postseason, seeing how far you can work up in league just to unlock better pack rewards and other items in the game. So yeah, your batters are really well skilled overall. For you, I just recommend focusing on your Dodgers players. Again, Slugger Instinct's definitely solid for Seager. You could put him in over Cabrera. I don't think that would be too bad of a move. And then this Garcia, Mass Golden pitcher's not bad. The one guy I would skill change if you have any is this Ryu. 71 base, so very solid starting pitcher and definitely has the potential to be your ace. So I just look for one solid gold skill. With all the new skills being added into the game, there's a handful that are gold. So maybe try one of those out, but really any gold skill should help you a lot. And yeah, even just if you get some silver stat boosters, that's better than nothing. I'd also like to point out you have this Pavana, which is just the card I want the most, so very jealous of that. And yeah, nice card right there. So for your team, there are really 2 main ways you can go about looking to improve your OVR. You could go for a Diamond S set deck and replace all your gold and silver players with diamond players regardless of the team. And once you get that Diamond S set deck, you get a +5 boost to all your players and each of their stats, which is really impactful. You could also go for a Dodgers S set deck, which should involve just filling your lineup with all Dodgers players, which is another way you could go around. Personally, I think that's more fun, a little more achievable as somebody who doesn't spend a whole lot of time farming. So yeah, you get those free Dodgers players for your first league victory of the day. You could GI them from bronze or silver all the way up to gold and look to build a team that way. So that's another option you could go about for your team. And yeah, you got a really solid base. I'm not sure if you're currently in that Silver 3 club you talked about in your form. But if you're looking for a club, I'll link the club recruiting thread on Reddit. And yeah, you could post there. I think you'd be able to find the Gold 3 club. At least a Silver 1 club. So yeah, you got a really solid team. Again, very jealous of this Pavano. I have him in gold. I'm not going to use a GI on him, but it's very tempting. And yeah, you got a really solid team. The Dodgers are very strong pitchers overall. So a team set deck definitely wouldn't be a bad way to go. If you did that, you'd want to look for stat boosting skills on your pitcher. See if I can find anybody with them. Let's see. So golden pitchers one that boosts velo and location. Is this golden pitcher again? Power pitchers, velocity, control artist. And then going back to fastball or lightning pitch, boost your fastball. So stat boosting skills like that would be great for your pitchers if you go that way. And then stats like training junkie or skills like training junkie and and I'm not sure if I see anybody with them, but pinpoint strike increases your batter's contact, just another stat booster, and additionally it decreases the pitcher's stamina, which is something that was added after that last update. And yeah, I mean, just looking for stat boosters if you go that way is another great way to improve your OVR. Though you won't see it in your cards OVR, you'll realize those effects in game. So yeah, you got a really solid team. Again, I'm sorry it's taken so long to get to your team, but you're actually the 40th and final team submission wise, so glad I could finally get to you, and yeah, making great progress, so keep up the work. So here we have BASRENG, who is 91.2 OVR, whose long-term goal is a Diamond Astros set deck. And yeah, you get a good amount of Astros players in your lineup. Golds and diamonds alike. So yeah, I mean, definitely off to a solid start on that Astros deck. And so somebody who doesn't farm, I mean, there's two ways you could really go for your team. You could try to transition to more of a team set deck with just gold and diamond Astros, which would, that team set deck boost would give you a +5 OVR to all your players. And you could go about it that way, or you could go around just continuing how you're doing, just working towards that diamond set deck, which I definitely think is the other way to boost your OVR, and in my opinion, a way to grow quicker. I mean, same thing, +5 to all stats once you get that diamond set deck, if I can say that right. So yeah, I mean, definitely making great strides. I mean, only guy I'd retrain really is this Miguel Cabrera if you have a lot of points saved up. I mean, I know it can be tough to get lots of points as a free-to-play player, but I mean, this skill set, prediction, charisma, legend is just ridiculous. I mean, especially on a team of your OVR. I mean, I'm guessing he's your best hitter by far, and you're just one level away from, or 2 more levels of special training away from that, from triple diamond skills, which, I mean, it's not something you see often, so props to you on that. I mean, I'm really lucky to get that skill set. I mean, in terms of your lineup, I'd recommend maybe only Josh Medmake would be starting this Galvis, who has legend, OVR Correa, who, although he does have pinpoint contact, I mean, with the boost of legend, Galvis will have better hitting statistics. And that's really the only thing. And I mean, on your bench, although this McCutcheon Pan's really cool, as well as this Pujols, both very solid cards, I mean, I'd recommend just putting some extra diamonds or team players on your bench just to boost either one of those set decks. I mean, that's really how I'd go about it. Moving on to your starting pitchers, I mean, again, I'd probably look to work these gold pitchers out of your lineup, but I mean, all your starting pitchers have really good skill sets for where you are in the game, and nothing I'd look to change at the moment. I mean, in relief pitchers, you really don't need to focus on the skills as much if you're a free-to-play player who doesn't farm. So, I mean, I'd really focus on your batters. If you're going to skill change anybody, I'd probably go with this Marwin Gonzalez. That left field shortstop versatility is just fantastic. I mean, base killer is definitely a solid skill set. But I mean, if you're going to progress them, I look for a skill that's going to be active all the time, such as charisma, batting machine, slugger instinct, prediction, and even legend. You know, I think all of those would be a little more beneficial, and as Gonzalez is one of your higher OVR players, I mean, definitely look to get him something that would activate more often, or preferably all the time. And yeah, I wanted to also point out this Straw, how on his base stat distribution, 70 to speed and fielding, and his low hitting stat, which I think is pretty funny. He's another guy with that shortstop, outfield ability, which is really cool, and prediction's definitely a solid skill for you for now. I mean, you could also, instead of moving that Galvis into your lineup, you could move either Star or Gonzalez to shortstop and then throw in this Brett Gardner, who again, although his hitting stats aren't as good, I mean, legend and full swing hair are both really solid stat boosters, which could make a big difference for your team. And regarding your question about using items in Arcade,
I mean, in my opinion, I'd recommend just using conditioned drinks, and then maybe using the extra items like the timer, the hit shield, the miss shield, and the bonus ball at the end. I mean, those are both solid, or all three of those are solid, but if you're having to spend stars on it, I don't think it's the best thing to do. I mean, I think there's definitely other ways you can spend your stars, but if you have extra laying around, it's not something that I'd be opposed to doing at the end of an arcade round if you're looking to push up a level. I mean, that's really the only context in which I use them personally, but I think conditioned drinks is definitely really solid. I mean, if you wanted to let me know who your arcade hero down below is, I mean, I'm assuming it's Mickey, and yeah, I mean, he should mash an arcade with that skill set. And I mean, yeah, you got a really solid team. You mentioned you were in a Silver 3 club. I think with your solid team, you could definitely find a Gold 3 club. I mean, you ask around in the comments. Not sure if there's going to be a whole lot of people tuning into this video, but if I don't, remind me to post the Reddit club recruiting thread down in the description or the comments so you can check it out there. I mean, it's a great place to find a club. A lot of people who have been on this series have used it to find Gold 3 clubs. And yeah, I mean, club's definitely something I'd focus on. Have any diamond packs, I'd definitely save those for club crafting, which, I mean, they'll be great help for your team. I mean, for you, I'd probably recommend going pitcher, just because there's so many great Houston starting pitchers. I mean, Cole and Verlander are the guys that come to mind. I mean, any of those guys, that would just be a ridiculous upgrade. I mean, but it wouldn't hurt you to go batter either way. I mean, got a chance of pulling Altuve, Bregman, Correa, Springer. I mean, either way, I mean, I think club crafting is definitely something to focus on for you. And yeah, keep up the growth.
So our next team here is TBRunGood, who is going for a Blue Jays Diamond S set deck. Currently you farm from 31 to 33. I'm not sure if that's changed, but I mean, with this Kershaw, it's just a beast of a card with Mess and Boss, which is a top tier skill set. So I think you could definitely play 2034 wild card at the very least. And I mean, if you play wild card the first game of the division series, your Kershaw would be in there for both those games and get into the postseason. So your opponent will be a little weaker than they normally would be later in the year. So I mean, that's definitely the year I'd consider farming on 2034. I mean, you got a really solid start to that Blue Jays S set deck. You got solid gold skills on even your non-team batters, so definitely great progress. If you're gonna skill change one of your team batters, I'd recommend this Grichuk. You might want to try out how a full swing hitter works now that this update's gone along, but ideally you'd look for a solid gold skill over full swing hitter. So you've recently skill changed this Donaldson. I'm not sure how Spotlight's gonna work. I mean, it'll activate when you're tied losing after the 5th inning. So I mean, personally, I'd say max prediction and take Spotlight to 5, just because I'm not too sure how it works, but I'd upgrade these one at a time until we, as the community, learn more about that. Sorry about the text noise in the background. It's on one of my farming devices, but yeah, I mean, solid team, BM. I mean, one solid gold skill would make a big difference. And actually, going back to that Donaldson real quick, if you have a chance, maybe retrain him. Just with that plus 12 field, I mean, ideally you want contact, power, and eye, 2 of those 3 as your top 2 developments, just for when you special train. I mean, you're somebody who's moving towards special training eventually. Don't believe you started anybody, but definitely on this Encarnacion or this Pujols, which will both be endgame players for you. Definitely something you can do. I mean, yeah, you have started, obviously. I take that back. I mean, like I saw earlier, that's just tremendous. And then for your lineup, one adjustment I might make is putting in this Yelich, who has charisma, just for this Brandon Drury, who has Ace Killer. I mean, Charisma's arguably the top skill in the game, and neither of these guys have much help. I mean, just something you could try if you're looking to switch up your lineup. And then you could also replace this Drury or this Yelich. I mean, whoever's on your bench with a lower OVR team player, if you have anybody, just to keep that Diamond S set deck and keep making your progress towards the Blue Jays A set deck, which is really big for you. And then moving on to your pitchers a little bit more. One guy I would retrain is this Aaron Sanchez. Again, you could skill change him as well. I mean, for pitchers, like I'm sure you probably know, you want location velo as your top 2 developments, and then either fastball or break as your third. But I mean, this should be solid for now. He's a guy you're eventually going to look to skill change, though at 66 base, I'd prioritize Thornton, who has Inning Eater, and Estrada first. I mean, Estrada was a guy I'd recommend skill changing even over that Grichuk 71 base starting pitcher. He's going to be there for a long time for you. I'd recommend looking for one solid gold skill. I mean, really any of the gold skills will help you. At this point, will be an upgrade over golden pitcher and setup man. I mean, setup man's really good for a reliever, but for starting pitcher, not as much, just because it's only activated for 1 inning. And yeah, I mean, that would be a big help for your team. He's your Blue Jays ace. I mean, Kershaw, of course, is always going to be there, but other guys skill changing. Yeah, Inning Eater fixer. You might want to look to improve over that. I mean, year over year, if you looked for ball smash, touch, and PM, I mean, or any of the new gold skills. I mean, personally, I'm not really sure how those are going to work, so if you want to test those out, those would be fine. I mean, you get a really solid team. I'd look to eventually replace some of those non-team cards on your team, but do that slowly as you team select craft, which I'm sure you do, and yeah, really good team. I think this is the first Blue Jays team I've seen this series, and it's good to see a different team other than Red Sox and Yankees and Dodgers, so yeah, keep up the good work. So our next team here is Zaz out of 21, who overall has a really well-skilled lineup. But not really anything I can complain about training-wise for your team. And you obviously seem like you know what you're doing. Got solid skills on all your batters. I'm going to bring up one exception, which is this Tim Anderson that's coming up. So, I mean, these are okay skills, but they're not going to help you at the moment. I have a funky lineup fix that might help you out, I'm not sure. So it would involve moving Machado from third to short instead of Anderson, and then moving Brock Holtz from left field to third base in Machado's old spot. And then you would move Thames from first base to left field, and then you would move Moreland to first base. So that's kind of a funky lineup, but if you want to get another team player in your lineup, then BM heavy hitter is definitely a solid skill set. So, I mean, that's one way you could go about it. And another way would be, again, moving Machado from third to short, then moving this Holt from left to third, and then moving this Calhoun, who has wonderful skill set and slugger instinct prediction, which I think is definitely a top skill set in the game. A lot of people would say it's not like end game, but it's definitely like an A skill set out of, so at least like a 90% out of 100. I mean, really solid skill set. So that's another way you could go about doing it. And for you, I mean, with your training was really solid overall. I'd recommend starting to special train some of your team players. I mean, you're obviously doing that with JBJ, and then another guy, Pedro. I mean, I'd recommend looking to get one batter at a time up to level 6 special training, just to get their skills to blue. I mean, I think you'll see a noticeable difference in improvement in your player's performance. That might be just slight, but I think it's still there. And yeah, I'd recommend putting Red Sox players on your bench. I mean, you got this Moreland and that Betts, but do you have any other lower OVR Red Sox diamonds that would definitely improve your team set deck? And to acknowledge your mem at the bottom, if
you ain't first, you're last. I'm pretty sure that's a Ricky Bobby quote. But hey, correct me if I'm wrong. And then your starting pitchers, move on to them. Price, very solid. Killshot untouchable, definitely a really good skill set. And she can probably look to improve from that. JV's another guy at 108, 75 base. I mean, he's endgame pitcher, I'd assume, for you. So, untouchable is definitely a solid skill set. But if you want to invest a bunch of skill changes into him, looking for a combination of boss, touch, mess, and PM, I mean, the skills also kind of changed at this point. There's the new gold skills. I mean, I guess you'll learn more about this when you get them. I mean, I'm not too knowledgeable on them up until this point, but once I learn more information from Reddit, I can help share that. I mean, if you want to go over and check the MLB 9 Innings Reddit out if you're not on it, definitely a good place to start. This Michaelis touch PM, very solid skill set. Boss golden pitcher, solid as well. I mean, eventually you could look to upgrade on this for your Pomerans, but I wouldn't say it's a priority. And Quintana, PM kill shot, that's okay, but I mean, I'd look to leave Quintana with those for now. Look to get a lower base Boston pitcher, even if it's like 68, into the end of your lineup as your fifth starter, and we'll get boosted up by that set deck effect. And I mean, worst case scenario, once you pull better Boston pitchers, he could be your sixth starter, and he could just be somebody you switch in for when you got somebody in down condition. So that'd be my main tip for improvement. I definitely recommend to continue club crafting if you're not already doing that. I mean, you could really go either way. But you do have Pedroia, Holtz, and Bradley and Moreland. I mean, you're still missing guys like Betts, Benintendi, Bogarts, Devers too. I mean, you go either way, pitcher or batter. You get a lot of Red Sox relievers, which is good. But I might look to experiment with some other guys like closer, just because Killshot golden pitcher. I'm not sure how that's working out for you, but maybe even Kimbrel there. Just something to eventually move on from this Chapman. I mean, I know it's a solid skill set. He's a 69 base reliever, which is just terrific, but eventually you'll look to replace him with a team card. And yeah, I mean, honestly, you got a really solid team. Club crafting's really the main way to improve. I mean, probably gonna say this a lot. I mean, it's the same thing for my team. I definitely recommend investing your diamonds into special training if you have any extras from packs or anything. I mean, really the only thing that will help you at this point is team cards, and team select crafting is gonna be the main way to go about that. So again, you got a really solid team, really impressive skills on your hitters. So I know it's gonna be hard to work some of those guys out of your lineup, but eventually you can do that, work in some Red Sox players, and yeah, I mean, you get a really solid team. You've improved like 2 OVR since you submitted to that form, and yeah, consider those funky lineup changes I kind of proposed. I mean, maybe get a little more bang for your buck with your lineup, and yeah, keep up the good work. So next at 99.2 OVR, we have a Cubs team, Memenati. So you farm occasionally on 4 devices, and yeah, I mean, definitely shows really solid team, I'd say. And then you said your wants for your team were that Zobrist, and congrats on pulling him. Awesome. It looks like you recently just skill changed him, barrel it up, so definitely something you can test out. I mean, it seems like a decent skill from what I've seen, but definitely something I'd run with for a little bit. And hopefully you pull that Javi Baez soon. I mean, hopefully you pull a decent Javi Baez. I mean, I know his rookie year card I don't think is that great, but hopefully you pull him eventually. And so, just going to quickly go to your batters, and I'll discuss the other questions you asked. So you have a couple guys that could use a retrain. This Chris Bryant with a plus 15 to speed. Plus 15 to field. I'm not sure what I'm saying, but yeah, look to get contact, power, and eye. 2 of those as your top 2 trains, I'd say. And then, yeah, Charisma Training Junkie's a very solid skill set. So once you get them to blue, those will be really solid. Ian Happ's another guy you could retrain. I'd recommend retraining before you get to 20, just because you have that plus 12 on field, and I wouldn't want to risk all the points it takes to get into level 20 just to have field end up as one of your top 2 trains. I mean, I saw this post on Reddit, and I thought it was really helpful. I mean, ideally at level 10 you want to have 2/3 of your development points within contact, power, and eye, and that's really, I feel like, a good way to go about it. Keep the cost low in the beginning, and then give yourself some wiggle room for when you get later on in your training. Again, another guy you could retrain is Contreras. I mean, another guy before he gets to level 20, just to get that field low. It's not really going to help you as far as I know. I mean, according to people on Reddit, I mean, his hitting stats are top priority for development. So, yeah, I mean, got a really solid lineup. Even your non-team cards are skilled very well. Charisma, size, tops to your skill set. Yeah, I mean, next guy out of your powers that I recommend skill changing, be this Hayward, just so you can eventually replace that Smoke, who's a non-team card. And Slayer Instinct Prediction is going to be pretty hard to replace, but even if you get a solid gold skill and a stat boosting silver, I mean, that might be somebody to try out. I mean, Hayward's got some really nice hitting stats on this card. It's really incredible. I mean, he's another guy, again, you could retrain just because that field's pretty high. You wouldn't want to risk getting him to level 20 and then having the last couple attributes go into field. But I mean, yeah, special training's definitely something I continue focusing on for your team. I mean, I recommend to continue team select crafting for you. If you have a weaker Cubs team, I definitely recommend switching out for this Bets. She doesn't have great skills to begin with, just to further boost your Cubs set deck and get you closer to that S set deck. And then you said you had some struggles with your starting pitchers, had some rather inconsistent performances. So Ace, untouchable. I mean, I'd consider sticking with this a little longer due to the update to Ace. So watching one of Hero's videos earlier, and he said that you get a plus 13 boost to your stats at level 7 special training instead of 10, so maybe that's something to try out. Though the increase does end at the 6th and after the 6th inning, so I don't know, maybe that's something to think about. But save Rick Russell's definitely a guy you could retrain, or skill change. I don't know what I'm talking about here. His training is very nice, but I recommend looking for a combination of boss, touch, master PM, and then again consider some of those new pitching skills if you get them. They look like they could be pretty decent. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about them. I mean, definitely pay attention to the MLB 9 Innings Reddit and some other videos like MLB 9 Innings 20 Tips on YouTube. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he does some skill evaluations. But yeah, I'd look for a combination like that. I mean, at 99.2 OVR, you're going to be facing some pretty tough opponents in ranked and club and all that. So having 2 solid gold skills, or a solid gold skill and a solid silver skill, would definitely help you a lot. I mean, Freeland with Boss GP, and then Twitchell with Mess Power Pitcher. I mean, I really wouldn't invest a whole lot more in these guys. Really say they're more placeholders so you get another solid Cubs pitcher. I mean, 71 base and 72 base, definitely solid base cards, but don't think it's worth investing in those upgrade tickets for this Twitchell. And then Freeland, I mean, and then again, they're not Cubs, so you'd preferably want to skill change a lower base starting pitcher for the Cubs. I mean, eventually you'll get that Cubs stack boost, so that's really the way I go about it. And yeah, I think Russell's definitely a guy you could prioritize using some skill change tickets on if you're still struggling with your starting pitchers. And again, I apologize. I didn't realize it would take me this long to get through 40 some odd teams. But I mean, I'm definitely going to improve upon that in the next go around. I'm not sure if you're still having struggles with your bullpen. I mean, this Dunsing has a really solid skill set, honestly. I mean, recommend using some upgrade tickets on him just to get him up to 20 so you can begin special training. But touch settlement's definitely a really solid skill set, and it's cool for me to see cards out of the game. I mean, if you really want a skill change, a reliever for some immediate bullpen help, I mean, Boss is definitely a solid skill, but by itself, I'm not sure it's going to really help a relief pitcher. I mean, definitely good for a middle reliever, but if you want some upgrades at closer, you got a wonderful train on him. He's got really solid pitching stats. want to throw a few skill changes at him to see if you get something. I mean, there's a lot of really solid skill sets for closers. I mean, big difference from starting pitchers. I mean, sharpshooter, even that's a solid skill just because you get that immediate boost. Setup man, winning streak are really good for closers, along with boss and touch. I think even Iron Will is supposed to be a pretty solid skill. So, I mean, you got a really solid team. I hope your inconsistent starting pitching and your relievers getting blown up has kind of subsided. But, I mean, if you have any other questions for me, ask me in the comment section. And, yeah, you're making really great progress. Very jealous of this Don Sutton. Hopefully I pull a legend, preferably somebody like Sutton instead of Lucian or Ozzie Smith, who I'm not even sure at GI, but yeah, you got some really solid cards. It's nice seeing some vintages in your lineup. So for our next team, we have SnelloverMax, who is a 99.8 OVR team, moving towards a Diamond Race team. So you said you currently spend money on the game, so I definitely think those $50 GIs and Team Select SIGs are a good way to spend your money if you're going to spend anything on the game. I'd recommend avoiding those premium skill changes as great as they look. Not sure they're the best buy. I mean, I think it's $30 each. I mean, I'm not even sure, but I mean, usually I get skunked. I mean, from the free ones I got from Pick'em last year, absolutely no luck, and I'm just watching some Heroes videos. Probably not gonna see a whole lot out of them. And they're really good if you have a guy with near end game skills and you want to upgrade them, but I don't think they're the best buy in the game. So you also requested that I cast a spell on Albert Pujols to get him to have a better train. I'm not sure if this is a better train in your opinion. I'm guessing not, since you've stopped retraining him. But I mean, you could definitely get Contact Knight as your top 2 developments if you finish this. But I'll cast a quick spell. Bippity Boppity Pools. Don't be an a-hole. Get a good train before you pass Willie Mays and home runs. So I'm pretty sure he hit his 657th last night, the day I'm recording this. So yeah, I mean, or maybe 2 nights ago at this point, but 3 more to tie Willie Mays. If he passes him, will be 5th all time, and maybe that's what he needs to get that boost. And this is just an absolutely beautiful card. 80, 80, and 81 are his contact power and eye stats. Just incredible. I mean, if you have some skill changes, I mean, your team's really well skilled overall. Don't really see too many guys you'd want to really skill change, but Pujols, if you definitely want to look for 2 gold skills on him, or a gold skill plus trading junkie, that's definitely where you could go. I mean, he's going to be on the end of your team, or your endgame team. I mean, realistically, you're kind of in the same place like me. You got some really good non-team cards. You got this Holiday, which is definitely a flex because he's retired. And then you also got that Chris Sale with Boss Mass. But I think you could definitely achieve a Diamond Raise, or a Diamond S Raise A set deck. It's definitely achievable. Another guy you could potentially skill change is this Wendell. I mean, Charisma by itself is definitely solid, but as probably your weakest starter, you could look for something else on him. 69 base is very solid. I mean, even this Charisma and a stat booster would be an upgrade over this. But I mean, that's just if you have something to throw around. I mean, I don't think it's too big of a deal as your 9-hitter if he's not playing too well, but he's also a guy I'd eventually consider retraining with that 14 to Fields. I mean, Molina's another guy you could retrain with at 11 to Field. But I mean, he's a non-team player, so I wouldn't prioritize that. And then, I mean, definitely an interesting train on this Holiday. I mean, if you want to get a little more out of your hitting stats, because this is a really balanced train, which can be good and bad. I mean, your special training is going to his hitting stats, but ideally you'd want a little more to contact power and eye. I mean, 2 of those 3 as your top 2 trains is what you're looking for. I mean, I really don't think you have a whole lot of starters that you would need skill changes. I mean, other than Pujols, which I guess would be tempting, and Wendell, who could use a slight upgrade. I mean, you're really solid. If you want to use him on anybody on your bench, recommend this Malik Smith, just because he's your highest OVR team player, or this Will Myers, who's just behind. With the addition of that SIG change taken to the game, I mean, if you mentioned really wanting a Trevor Story or a Bogart SIG, and you could use this on this Bogarts with beam and charisma, definitely a solid skill set, if I can speak properly. But I mean, I caution you against doing that just because I believe Bogarts has some better base years. I mean, he definitely had a good season back in 16, but I think he might even have a 72 or 73 base. So you might want to hold out on that. I would hate to see you use a SIG change ticket on a player and then end up pulling a better year of his. I mean, if you get any story, really, he has a 74 base 2018 card, if I'm correct. I mean, that would be incredible if you pulled him. And I mean, your starting pitchers are just incredible. This Archer SIG, I mean, I wish he was in the game so I could see that art, but really great train on him. Touch mess. I mean, I don't have anybody with that personally, but great skill set from what I've heard. Unfortunately, it looks like Morin's skills started out 1-1-2. So I mean, if you have one of those, I think it's called the skill reset ticket, it would. So reset all these skills down to level 1 and allow you to take them up as high as you could. I think that'll allow you to take touch and boss to 7. I mean, I'd recommend double checking on Reddit before you did that, but boss and touch is an endgame skill set from everything I've heard. And with 3 stamina at level 20, which is just insane. This is definitely a great card for you. And then again, this sale, boss and mass. Boss on Kluber's really solid. I mean, he's a guy I'd look to just leave how he is. He's a 9-team player, so eventually you'll move him back to your 5th starter, but great train on this Carnes. With Mass and Eater, he's the guy you may eventually want to reskill just to get those 2 solid gold skills, but I mean, I'm not sure if I think any year might have been changed too, so I mean, maybe something you want to test out before you move on from that. And I mean, yeah, you could also consider switching this Betances with boss and touch, if I can say it, with this C-Shock with mess and setup man. I mean, you might see a little difference in performance, though again, Betances is a guy you eventually look to replace as you pull some more race players. But I mean, yeah, you got a really solid team. I think I'd recommend choosing batter for your next team select crafts unless you've got anybody hidden on your bench or your player reserve, sorry. But I mean, you have Longo, but other guys you could look for, I mean, Austin Meadows. There's a lot of active Rays that are really solid. I'm kind of blanking on names right now. I think Tommy Pham had a card from last year, unless he was traded, which was definitely a solid card. I think Avisail Garcia. I mean, honestly, a lot of guys that have some decent cards, which you could eventually look to switch in. And I mean, once you pull a better catcher than Casale, you definitely slot him in for this Molina. I mean, this Banks at 93 is one of your lower OVR cards, but with Slytherin's like prediction, very solid skill set. Like, he might be a guy I look at replacing first, just because I mean, you're gonna have to invest 4 upgrade tickets in order to get him to level 20. And he's a 9-team card with a 68 base, although he does have some terrific hitting stats. So, I mean, Bogarts is definitely a guy you could switch in for him. I mean, you said Bogarts. I'm assuming Bogarts is one of your favorite players. So, I mean, that's definitely one way to improve and get a really nice team. I mean, the sales definitely keep with Boston Mess and 76 base. It was just absolutely ridiculous. So, I mean, recommend looking to special train your players. Eventually get this Yarbrough up to level 20 and special train him as well. Definitely cool having a Sag in your bullpen. Though I know it might have been disappointing not to pull a starter, but still a very solid card, especially for a team set deck. And yeah, I mean, keep the great work and keep team select crafting. So So for our second to last team, we have Cartsbenny, who is a Cleveland set deck. Got this kind I just wanted to start off with. Beautiful Train and Prediction Train Junkie BM. That's a really, really solid skill set. So once you get him Special Train, I mean, definitely going to rake for you. And I think he'd definitely be a great arcade card. So your team is really well trained and skilled overall. BM Charisma, BM Full Swing Hitter. You have a good amount of players from different teams. And eventually it's probably in your best interest to work in a lot more Cleveland cards. This Encarnacion is just awesome. And this Rendon with Legend. Master Base Thief is very solid again. Legend Training Junkie, Cruise, Prediction Slugger Instinct, Charisma Ace Killer, and Charisma Leg Day. One switch you could do with your lineup just to get some immediate improvement was as soon as you get Altuve to level 6, Legend to level 6 on Altuve, which I'm pretty sure you're doing. I'd switch him in for Murphy. It's definitely better skills. And another thing you could also do is move this Rendon down to your 9 spot if you want that extra Master Base Thief boost on your top of the lineup. Might be something to try out. So just in case you'd rather be getting that boost to some of your stronger players. For skill changes, I'd recommend the Santana. Legend Full Swing Hitter is very solid, but if you wanted something better, I mean, he's the only team card I see on your bench. So if you want to look for 2 solid gold skills, or maybe something a little better than Legend Full Swing Hitter, that would definitely be interesting to try out Full Swing Hitter's new effects. So if you have any skill change and want to throw them at somebody, Santana wouldn't be a bad guy to do so with. Alright, if you have any lower OVR Indians Diamonds in your player reserve, just throw them on your bench, get that extra boost to your Cleveland set deck. Currently you have 1, 2, 3, that kind of counts as 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have the D set deck, and 4 more you get your C set deck. So yeah, just throw on 4 weaker diamonds on your bench. Get a +1 boost in all stats to all of your Indians players along with that. Kind of because he's a legend, which I definitely think would be a great boost for your team. And gradually you look to work in some lower OVR Indians batters into your starting lineup once you get some skills on them. I mean, that process is going to take a while. And even if you drop in OVR a little bit, at least you know your players are going to be long-term, and you'll be okay investing in them. So one guy I'd retrain is this Bumgarner, just with same as the second highest stat. I mean, SPM's a very solid skill set. I got that on my Caleb Smith, a little spoiler for my next video. Did some skill changes. Touch Cleanup Killer is definitely a solid skill set. And Mass Boss is probably endgame. And then Boss, Touch, and Mass. Unfortunately, it looks like those started all one. And then Boss, Golden Pitcher. So if you're looking to really replace any of these guys, I'd say the first guy to go would probably be Nola. Touch is a good skill by itself, but with Cleanup Killer, I mean, that only activates on a third of the batters, and then Breaking Ball Mastery is just a little bit of a stat booster. I think if you have a Cleveland starting pitcher, even as low as 68, 69 base, you could definitely work him in. I mean, I might recommend doing some team select crafting going for pitcher. Yeah, guys like Bauer, Salazar, Clevenger, I mean, some really high base starting pitchers. Kluber as well. I mean, any Kluber would be a tremendous upgrade. And so that's what I recommend looking at for your pitchers. And then your bullpen, you got a decent amount. So SPM, again, a solid skill set. And Boss Mass is really solid for that Albers. And yeah, your bullpen's solid skill OVR. Solidly skilled overall. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really worry about skill changing any of your non-team players anymore. I mean, I think Touch, Breaking Ball Mastery's good enough for now, even though Nolan might get beat up a little bit. I mean, if I were you, I'd rather not invest in a non-team card that I'll eventually look to replace. And yeah, I mean, team select crafting is going to be the key for you. Really cool how you have the Diamond Prime Kemp and the Legend Kiner. Wondering how you got that Kiner? Let me know down in the comments if you're watching this. And yeah, you got a really solid team, and it's nice seeing an Indian set deck.
So now we have Austin 023W, who is a 102.5 OVR. And I mean, just to put it bluntly, this might be the best team I've seen in this series. I mean, you have unbelievable training, skills on, like, all of your cards. I mean, I don't know how much you farm, but you must have spent so much money on them, or so much in-game currency, the coins. I mean, if you're really looking to retrain somebody, maybe this Freeman, but that's kind of ticky-tacky there. I mean, you have your betting stats, contact power and eye on all your starters. I mean, this Kendrick is obviously still in progress, but yeah, you have that on all your starters, which is just amazing. I mean, I hope soon you are able to pull Albie so you can throw in at second base, and I mean, maybe Flowers has a good year. Pretty sure he's currently on the IL because he's wasn't feeling well. He had like flu-like symptoms, but hopefully he comes back and has a strong year. And so really nothing to say about your batters. I mean, if you really want to skill change anybody, I mean, you could look for something better than Charisma Training Junkie on both Allenson and Acuna Jr., but I mean, Charisma Training Junkie is really a great set, and it's really saying something if that's your next place to go with skill changes on your batters. I mean, very well skilled. Very well skilled. And then moving on to your starting pitchers, the Sanchez. That development is just insane. 24 to velo, that's ridiculous in touch boss. That's endgame. I mean, really. And then minor, sweet train on him. Mess boss. I mean, here's where I might use some skill changes. This trend's really solid. Untouchable PM's definitely a really solid skill set, but if you want to look for a combination of boss, mess, or touch, I mean, or PM, I would. You already have touch and PM, I mean, maybe you get 2 of those gold skills. I guess that's your next move for your starting pitchers, and I'd probably prioritize that over your batters. I mean, definitely this Tehran would be a good guy to use on, because he's no longer in the Braves organization. He's a guy that once you start special training him will get up 106, 107 OVR. I mean, with great skills. He could even be your ace, I mean. And that's saying something. Seeing your top 2 guys in this curve shot. Really wouldn't worry about skill changing him. I mean, he's your non-team player at the moment. 77 base, ridiculous card, but definitely prioritize team players. And then moving on to your bullpen, I mean, just solid once again. Got the Savilan, I mean, Wood. I mean, if you really wanted to retrain some of these guys, you could look to get location velo first, but that's if you have a ton of points to burn. I'd say your next step is, I'd probably just look for another Atlanta player, even if you have a weaker Atlanta player in your reserve. I mean, moving around your bullpen in terms of getting that final team player in there would probably
get another +1 boost.
Help you move up to that Braves A set deck. I mean, personally, I'd switch Jackson with Barnes and put in a weaker Atlanta pitcher in there. I mean, really hope that long reliever is not going to have to come in while you're playing ranked or club. I mean, it's only when you're getting killed, and at that point, you're pretty much out of the game. And then I'd say just replace these 3 non-team players on your bench. And if you have any weaker Braves, I mean, that would do the trick. Even if you just have 1 gold Brave because you're a couple short, still get you up to that booster +2 in the case of your SIGs, which will make these guys even better players. And yeah, this McMichael's just awesome as closer. Fantastic train there. Best boss. Solid skill set. Though, I mean, some people on Reddit may disagree and say to push for Boston winning streak or something else. But, I mean, I think it's definitely something I'd stick with. Yeah, just work towards that Braves A-set deck, and I mean, like I said in the beginning, just an incredible team you have here, and very jealous. Hopefully my Marlins team will be looking like this soon. So I have a little correction to make about what I said in the intro. We had 8 teams to look over today, not 9. That's my bad. Usually pretty decent at math, but when I was looking over the notes I took, I guess I counted somebody twice, so that's my fault. But yeah, I mean, this concludes our first round of team evaluation Thursday. 5 episodes. I mean, these videos honestly take a decent amount of time, like 3-4 hours each. I mean, I try to give you guys some good feedback. And I mean, in the future, we'll see if there's some different ways I could do this. I mean, to just name 2. I mean, I was thinking of purchasing a laptop I could stream off of, and maybe I could do some live, take some requests like that. Not sure how that would work, but something I could consider doing in the future. And the other way would be similar to how I did it the first time, just posting a video and linking a Google form, just having you guys fill that out, and then getting through those entries every week or 2 and get a couple teams in. But I mean, I think it might make more sense for me to stream this just because editing this definitely takes a while, and I mean, I could get your guys' input as well. On some of the teams, you could ask me questions, I mean, in person, I guess. So that might be a little bit easier for me and for you guys, so I can get through more teams. Because I mean, when I started this series, I don't think I had more than like 100, 120 subscribers, and now I'm up at like 320, so really thank you guys for all that support. And I mean, yeah, it's just going to be a little bit more difficult for me to get to everybody's teams. I have probably 20, 30 teams that have asked me since I closed entries when I'm going to open them back up, so that's 30 teams right there that would like a chance to be evaluated, and I think maybe a live stream and leaving that up on my channel would be a great way to satisfy everybody, get the community involved. Another reason I want to take a break is, I mean, yeah, a lot of editing, and then again, with the addition of the new skills, I'm really not sure how those are working quite yet, so I definitely got to see what people are saying on Reddit, see if any of my pictures, if I get those on them, and how they would perform, and just move on from there. But really appreciate everybody's feedback, positive feedback overall for this series, and yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a success. It's definitely one way for me to make more personalized content for the viewers of my channel. And you guys, I mean, again, really appreciate the support. Rambling on a little bit, so I'm gonna cut this here. And yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see everybody in the next video.